You know, it's easy to forget about all the invisible systems that power our world. I mean, from the car you drive to the medicine you might take, we're all relying on these incredibly complex supply chains that stretch all across the globe. But what happens when those chains snap? Well, let's get into it.
So remember back in 2021? It all started with a question that millions of us were suddenly asking. All of a sudden, car dealership lots were just empty. Prices were skyrocketing and the waiting lists were months, even years long. And it all came down to a shortage of one tiny but absolutely crucial component, the semiconductor.
And the cost? $110 billion. That's the hit the global auto industry took in just one single year because of that semiconductor shortage. I mean, this was no minor hiccup. This was a massive economic shockwave that showed us all just how fragile modern manufacturing has become.
And it wasn't just about cars, not by a long shot. The problem basically spread like a virus through the entire economy, hammering 169 different industries here in the US. The car shortage was really just the most obvious symptom of a much, much deeper problem.
So, how on earth did we get here? Well, for decades, the US has been offshoring manufacturing. And in the process, we've created this incredibly complex web of hidden dependencies for the most critical materials and components. You know, the literal building blocks of our economy and even our national security. Now, this is pretty staggering when you look at it. We're talking about critical minerals, where the US is 100% reliant on other countries. Things like rare earths for high-tech magnets or natural graphite for batteries. These aren't just nice-to-haves, they're absolutely essential. And look, this didn't just happen overnight. This chart shows a trend that's been quietly building for over 60 years. Way back in 1954, the US was heavily reliant on imports for about 21 different minerals. Fast forward to 2019, and that number has nearly tripled to 58. We've been building this vulnerability for a long, long time. And this is where it gets really hairy, especially in the race to build electric vehicles. This chart shows a massive choke point. China refines 60% of the world's lithium and an incredible 80% of its cobalt. Those two materials are the absolute heart of an EV battery. That's a huge vulnerability for the future of the entire US auto industry. And this goes way beyond minerals and cars. This one hits a lot closer to home. It's about our health. The core active ingredient in any drug is called an API. For the generic drugs that millions and millions of Americans rely on every day, a whopping 87% of the factories making those core ingredients are outside the United States. So, having all these critical supply chains concentrated in just a few places doesn't just create an economic risk, it's transformed the whole issue into a high-stakes game of national security. We're talking about a new era of global competition playing out on a geopolitical chessboard. And this quote from a White House report really just lays it all out there, plain and simple. China's strategy isn't just about business as usual. It's a state-directed mission to control the entire semiconductor supply chain, from the very beginning to the very end. And this slide really breaks down the two completely different playbooks. You see, the US has historically been market-driven. We got really good at designing chips, but we let the manufacturing go overseas. China, on the other hand, took a state-directed approach, pouring billions in subsidies to build a totally self-sufficient industry at home. And the results of these two different strategies? Well, the numbers speak for themselves. Let's take printed circuit boards. They're the basic foundation for pretty much all electronics. Today, 90% of them are made in Asia, and over half of that production is in China alone.
So what's the bottom line here? What's the real risk? Well, this number. It's the potential annual revenue loss for electronics companies if some kind of geopolitical crisis cut off access to semiconductors from Taiwan. We're talking nearly $500 billion. The risk is just immense.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. But now, faced with all these vulnerabilities, the United States is launching one of its most ambitious industrial policy shifts in generations. So let's take a look at the blueprint for America's comeback. The whole strategy really rests on four key pillars. It's not just about building a few factories. It's about rebuilding our production and innovation, training up a skilled workforce, teaming up with our allies, and making sure we have strategic stockpiles ready for any emergency. And to get the ball rolling, the plan calls for a $50 billion federal investment. This money is specifically designed to make these huge transformative investments to strengthen our supply chains for semiconductors and other absolutely critical products.
But you can build all the fancy factories you want, right? If you don't have the skilled people to actually run them, what's the point? So, a huge piece of this strategy is focusing on people, partnering with community colleges, scaling up apprenticeships, and creating clear paths to good paying jobs in advanced manufacturing.
And just to be clear, this isn't about pulling up the drawbridge and trying to go it alone. A core part of the plan is to actually strengthen our partnerships with allies and friendly nations, countries that share our values, so we can create supply chains that are not only efficient, but also secure and resilient. So, a big strategy is great in theory, but what does this actually look like on the ground? Let's zoom in on one really dynamic government group that's already putting these ideas to work right now, the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU.
The DIU's mission is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Think of them as a super fast bridge. They find the best commercial tech out there, from startups to big tech companies, and they get it into the hands of the US military as fast as humanly possible to solve really tough national security challenges.
And the DIU is focused on the really cool next-gen stuff. We're talking about the cutting edge fields like autonomy, think self-piloting drones, and artificial intelligence. It's all about giving the US a strategic advantage where it counts. So here's a perfect case study of how this works. The problem was the military needed secure American-made small drones. The solution? The DIU went out and partnered with a commercial company called FreeFly Systems. And the result is a trusted, super high-performance drone that's now being used by multiple branches of the military. Problem, solution, result. And this is where the magic happens. By making these smart, strategic government contracts, the DIU has helped leverage over $68 billion in private investment. It just goes to show how targeted government action can be a powerful catalyst, sparking huge growth and innovation in the private sector. So we end up right back where we started. The challenge is just enormous, and the stakes could not be higher. This is a multi-decade effort to try and reverse a multi-decade trend. The question really isn't if America needs to rebuild anymore, it's whether we have the will and the vision to see it all the way through.